the vaccine that I was supposed to, let me tell you my story. The UFC had allocated a certain number of doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for all of their employees. We were operating during the pandemic, in the heat of the pandemic, and we would do these audience-less events. So there would be no audience. It would just be the staff. Everybody would be tested. You would be tested before you got on your flight. You'd be tested again when you got there. They had an amazing bubble. Amazing COVID bubble, and occasionally a crew member would test positive. They would shut everything down, or not a crew member rather, but a corner member of like one of the fighters groups. That fighter would no longer be able to compete, even if they tested negative. So they were really rigorous about this. So they said, hey, the vaccine's out and we have a bunch of it. Do you want to take it? They didn't mandate it. They just asked me. I said, sure. I said, I'm coming in for the fights, and we would do these at the Apex Center, which is a very small arena that the UFC has constructed that they do some of their smaller events at. So I go there. I call this guy who's the head of the thing, and I said, hey, I'm here. Can I get the vaccine before the show? And he said, yeah, let me get right back to you. We'll set that up. So he calls me back, says, okay, there's an issue. We have to do it at the clinic. Can you come back on Monday? And I said, I can't. I'm busy. I have to go back. I got to go back to Texas. But there's another event coming up in the future. I'll be back here again. This time I'll come a day early and I'll just get the vaccine. During that time period of me returning, 2 people I knew got strokes, and they pulled the vaccine. So they pulled the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and then I went, whoa. So from all that I knew about Vioxx, because I had a friend who had taken Vioxx and gotten a stroke, and I knew about the court case. I hadn't had the conversation with John Abramson yet, but I was very aware of the deception and very aware of how they hid the data and that they knew about it in advance. They knew it was going to cause these problems. So I started getting nervous. And then I started talking to different physicians and doctors who had devised these immunity boosting protocols, and this is how you prevent viral infections, and ionophores and zinc and IV vitamins and this and that. And I was like, I don't know, man. Now I want to ride this out. So now I'm really concerned and confused. And then I had a few friends that had gotten it, and some friends that got it real bad. And then some friends that just had nothing. I mean nothing. Like one of my friends, she got tested because she had to go somewhere for a wedding in, I believe it was the Virgin Islands. And so she had to get tested to fly. And oh my God, you're positive. She's like, what? I'm positive. Like, yeah, your PCR has tested you positive for, and this is the early days of the PCR where they did multiple cycles. I think they were doing, what were they doing, 40 originally? Mm-hmm. And then she got tested again. She was positive. She never had a single symptom. And then I started looking at how many asymptomatic people there were. And they were saying something in the neighborhood of like 60% of the people were asymptomatic. I'm like, what is this? Is this going to kill everybody, or is this nothing? Like, what is this? And then someone else would get it, and they'd get really sick, and they'd be fucked up for a couple of weeks. So I was not committed one way or the other. I was still on the fence about this. But as time went on, I just sensed the fuckery. I sensed the propaganda. It was just, there were so many people that were trying to coerce you. Celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, fuck your freedom, take it, fuck your freedom. Everybody was telling you to take it. And I was like, man, this seems like a cult. This seems like something's going, but I didn't want to dismiss medicine. I didn't want to dismiss the whole thing. What disturbs the shit out of me is that after I got better, CNN, MSNBC, all these mainstream news things are mocking me for taking horse medication. They're saying he took horse medication. He took horse dewormer. Like literally taking a drug that's on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines. Literally taking a drug that's been prescribed billions of times. Taking a drug that was invented by the guy who won the Nobel Prize for inventing that drug. It has one of the best safety profiles of any known drug, but it's generic and it's cheap. It was real cheap. And I didn't just take that. I listed a bunch of other things I took. Z-Pack, monoclonal antibodies. I had IV vitamin infusions multiple days in a row. I got better quick. Nobody cared that I got better quick. All they cared was I didn't get vaccinated. What's the best way to shame him? Let's point to this one thing that he took and mock this person for taking this foolish medication. They even changed the color of my face on CNN. I put a video up of me saying that I had to cancel shows. Dave Chappelle and I had a big concert coming up that weekend, and I said we have to postpone it because I have COVID. But in the video, I was like, I feel fine. I had COVID 3 days ago. I had one bad day. The second day I felt pretty good. Today I feel great. And all they wanted to talk about, like constantly, every hour, was me taking horse dewormer. It was in Rolling Stone. It was in all these things. Rolling Stone had an article. Gunshot victims are waiting in line to get to the hospital because so many people are overdosing from horse dewormer. 100% horseshit. Printed in the Rolling Stone. Not only that, but they used an image. This is Oklahoma. They used an image. This is supposedly in the summer that this was happening. They used an image of a bunch of people waiting in line wearing winter coats. Because that wasn't from that. That was from I believe they were waiting in line to get vaccinated for the flu. It was another stock photograph that they used of people waiting in line at the hospital. It had nothing to do with horse dewormer. This was tweeted by Rachel Maddow. This was tweeted by many online prominent influencers and journalists. Like, look at these fools taking this horse dewormer. And it wasn't until I read Robert Kennedy's book, The Real Anthony Fauci, that I got a sense that this is a playbook that they have used forever. They offer one solution. This one solution is patented. This one solution is controlled by these pharmaceutical companies, and it's very expensive, and they make a fuckload of money from it. Whereas anything that's off-label, anything that's generic, is dismissed. They rig the test to make it look like like they'll give you far more in like what they did with hydroxychloroquine. I mean, I don't even want to go into this. You could read it in the book, but my whole journey on this is like, first of all, how did I find myself in this, right? I'm a comedian and a cage fighting commentator. How am I having these, how am I on CNN all the time? And all they're doing is mocking a medication that I took very deceptively. No, out and out lying, not just deceptively, just out and out lying, saying that I took veterinary medicine. It was so strange. It was so strange to be in the center of that. And also to be someone who got over it very quickly, where there was no discussion. There was no like, hey, Joe Rogan got over this really quickly. What is he doing differently than most people that had COVID and had terrible outcomes? There was none of that.